Hello, loves. How are you? Welcome to day 13 of the Higher Self series. So, today I was just going to really allow the space to see what wanted to come through. And then I started to realize that this morning when I woke up, I saw a vision of the Seven of Cups in my mind's eye, which was coming through as the energy of a choice point. And as my day has gone on, I pulled some cards this morning with a friend, and it came up in two different decks and two different messages that came through this morning. And then today, when I was at my office, it came up again in a different deck. So at that point, it became abundantly clear that we are at a large collective choice point, like a checkpoint and a choice point. It felt the more I sat with it as the day was going on that there are decisions that are being made right now. Um, But I also felt the reason it's coming through in this series is because it's all being orchestrated and guided by our higher selves. And so I want to tell you, I'm going to dive into the masculine side and the feminine side of what's happening within these choice points and what we may want to know or focus on. I kind of feel like what can we each focus on within ourselves, okay, for the masculines and the feminines. But I wanted to start out by sharing how, well, many of you guys probably know this, that through dream time or in energy work, that we're actually working and our higher selves are co-creating and coordinating together. And I actually had this experience last night. I woke up with like kind of really warm. I had to open the window and it was like 3 in the morning and I had a text from my cousin and I responded back to her. And then this morning we were kind of catching up, and come to find out, she was also like waking up with some warmth as well. And it's interesting because I've been working very, very deep on some ancestral patterns, especially connected with the mother. And that's how her and I are connected. Our mothers are sisters. And so we had this realization that we're really working on this pattern together and at a much deeper level than maybe we were initially aware of. So this is also happening in the bigger collective in general, where our higher selves are truly the ones in the lead, right? And it's about learning to trust that and allow our human self to follow that higher guidance, that intuition, those inklings, those feelings that are coming through to help support us to make the decisions that are going to put us on that highest path and that highest timeline. And sometimes what's coming through is that it might feel a little bit cloudy, but that's the gorgeous part of that surrendering to the higher power, in that you don't need to know exactly where you're headed. All you have to know is that you're aligning with your highest potential. And then, even when it's cloudy, you just kind of wait until it becomes clear. Because you see here, there's like the clouds around the other choices. And then all of a sudden, he's like, oh, no, that's the one. And you see he's pointing to it and it's opened up. And when you think about it, it feels like the energy is coming through to me right now. Like if all this blue energy is like that higher self energy and it's flowing, and the water is intuition, it's like this is showing the flow, but it's through just allowing yourself to sit with the options, to let yourself ask for the clarity, and then allow yourself to be guided. And remember, you don't necessarily need to know exactly where this path is headed. Once again, all we really need to know is that we're making that first step towards that highest potential. And that may very well be your first step, asking to align with your highest potential and your highest timeline, and truly surrendering to the higher power to guide you. Okay. And as you're going down this path, you're learning how to work with also knowing when to take inspired action. So surrendering isn't just about sitting back and doing nothing. It's about knowing when it's time to make that choice and move forward on your next steps on your path. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into what the masculines have going on with this choice point, and then with what the feminines have going on with this choice point. I encourage you, regardless of how you identify, to listen to both for yourself, for your own internal energies, because most likely both sides are going to resonate for you if you resonate with my work. But also, um, again, it may help as you're navigating other relationships and connections as well. The perspective. Okay, so we're going to dive into these perspectives. And again, I said I'm going to start with the masculine side. And what is this that the masculines would like us to know about this decision, this choice point, and what they're choosing? Just whatever the masculine collective would like us to know. Oh, wow. Okay. This is interesting because this was exactly the combo that came up first thing this morning. The sun. The masculines are choosing the highest path. They're choosing their happiness. They're choosing to align with that highest timeline and that highest potential. It feels very, very clear. Um, and what's coming through energetically is what I'm sensing is as the feminines have also equally chosen to align with their highest timeline. Um, it's allowing these energies to flow through and shine through and bring clarity to the path. Now, from an inner union perspective, it's like once you make that higher choice in your intuition in connecting with the divine higher power and you accept to align with your highest timeline, you start to receive the guidance and the clarity as you allow that to start to support you. And then it becomes so much easier to make the decisions because, in a sense, you're letting that higher timeline be what runs through you, right? You're allowing that to be your guiding light, kind of like the motor to your boat versus you trying to just figure it all out by yourself, only looking at the cloudiness that's all around you. But you can cut through the clouds by going directly to the sun, directly to the source, right? And then it starts to shine through all of the clouds and brings in a very clear, distinct choice. Okay. What was coming to me it, as this card came through was that I saw the masculines heading towards their highest timeline. Now, it also came through very important for all of us to not judge what we think that's supposed to look like. We have to allow the space and the grace to let this path unfold and sync up in the physical world, and allow it to lead the masculines where they're meant to be. Okay. So for all the masculines at here on the channel, like allowing yourself to be led by your inner truth, by your higher guidance. And I actually right here want to address something really quick because there was a masculine who asked, what do you do when your counterpart isn't showing up or reciprocating in the physical world? And the very the biggest answer that I've ever landed on is to take that energy and refocus it back to yourself. Because in essence, that's what they're mirroring to you. They're showing you where to begin to focus internally and start to make the decisions for yourself that are going to align you with your highest timeline. And if that's your counterpart, they're going to meet you ahead on the path where you're meant to be. They may not be showing up in that way at this time because there's other things that you're both needing to learn to align with your highest potential. So it feels really important to refocus that energy back to yourself. And if it's helpful, I have that inner union series, but I also have an inner union playlist, where you can really turn those energies back within. So it would be helpful for you to watch the Divine Feminine Surrendered video as well as the Divine Masculine Stability video and listen to both of those for yourself and your connection. Even as a masculine, right? You are a masculine in a male body and you identify as a masculine, but you're also harmonizing your inner union, your inner masculine and feminine. So understanding the energies that are inside of you are also going to help you understand what the feminine is mirroring to you in reverse. And I think that all these connections are coming through differently based on what your higher selves are coordinating for each of you to simultaneously learn in your own way. So you may be a masculine that's exploring the depths of your internal feminine side, and your feminine may be exploring the depths of her internal masculine side. Okay, that's very much a huge possibility and potential and very common on this type of journey. Okay, because remember, you are learning how to balance the energies internally, but you're also learning how to balance them within the connection. Okay. And I also want to add right there, masculines, if you are doing something, this can go for feminines too, of course, but this was asked from a masculine. So anything that you're putting your energy, focus, and attention on, if it is not meeting you or reciprocating, and you're feeling like it's draining or you're overgiving in this energy, then I'm going to encourage you to take a step back and reevaluate that because overgiving is actually chasing energy. Okay. So you want to redirect that extra essence and energy that you have back to yourself, back to your heart, back to what you want to create. You keep creating your foundation for yourself and trust and believe as you're going on this path, whoever is meant to be there with you is going to sync up with you. Okay. And I know that that's not always easy when it feels a little cloudy and a little confusing. But I would say in this stream of energy, no matter what is happening, no matter what is happening, if you make the decision and the choice to align with your highest timeline and your highest potential, and you surrender and call in that higher power, higher self essence, and really dive into working with that and intending to work with it if you're not sure how yet, it'll show you. And if not, I have sessions we can work one-on-one and dive into that specifically for you because everybody has their own way of connecting and learning. But overall, the bottom line is no matter what is happening, you can choose to align with that highest timeline and then give yourself space and grace to see how that actually unfolds. Okay. And what I'm seeing, like I said, is it feels like that's what the masculines are intending. That's what they're being called to do. I'm kind of sensing with this energetically that there has been some confusion. Um, Actually, I'm going to pull on that real quick because that's what's coming through. It's like there's this space where the masculines are becoming aware that they want to align with this highest timeline, but they're kind of confused about how to go about it because, in a lot of senses and in a lot of ways, it's kind of the opposite of what they've always known how to do, which is to kind of push and take action in the physical world. And this is more about learning how to kind of sit back and notice where the energy is leading them, what feels like the clear path, what feels supportive. Okay. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's always the easiest, but it will call to your heart. Okay. Let's see. Cool. Okay. That one did one. Where did it go? Oh, wow. All right. It flew kind of far. And this kind of reiterates that to me, right? Because this card always speaks to me about a masculine wanting to connect with his higher self, opening his heart, feeling a little bit uncertain, but starting to pull the pieces in, starting to maybe believe that pigs can fly and that there is a deep heart, true love connection for him, and that there is something more to this higher energy. Like this is, and it was in the sideways position. So to me, that's speaking. Okay, so sorry, one of my cats, my cat Nala is apparently making a show today. All right, she hasn't done this, so I know there's something going on. Um, Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, there you go. Um, There is definitely an essence of this recalibration of this is like really what's happening. It is where the calibration and the integration, there is a little bit of uncertainty when you're evolving into the new version of yourself. And now that I think about it, Nala is my feminine cat, right? So it's like she's your feminine's got you. It's like in a essence, like inviting and working in with your own feminine essence, the higher essence of you, tapping into that intuition and allowing yourself the space and the grace to know it's going to take a little bit of time to get your sea legs. Okay. Just remember anything that we're learning that's new is going to take a little bit of time. Like I said in yesterday's message, you're not supposed to know all of the answers or have it all figured out. We're exploring things that have never been done before. Give yourself props and kudos for being willing to do this because it takes a brave, courageous soul to do something different. But at the same time, doing this is also putting you on your highest timeline and your highest potential that you have always felt was the truth for you all along. Deep down, you felt like you deserved more. You felt like you were meant for more. But in the spaces that you were working in, it just wasn't coming to fruition. But it's not coming into fruition in the way that you thought because it's not the small space you're meant to be in. You're meant to soar, divine masculines. You're meant to expand. You're meant to step into all of who you are. You don't have to squish yourself into those little boxes that society told you. Choose the open path. Choose the path of expansion, which I know you are. This is what you're showing me. But within that, it's okay that it feels a little bit funny sometimes. You're transforming, you're expanding into a whole higher version of yourself, but it's always been you at the same time. So just know that it's all good, it's all okay. And as long as you keep choosing that highest timeline, no matter what happens, no matter how awkward or weird or uncomfortable or confusing it gets, this is going to bring that clarity energy to your situation. And when you're having those moments where you can't see, just keep calling in that higher energy of support, however you choose to connect. All right. Beautiful. Now let's see what's going on with the feminines. Let's see what's going on with the feminines and her choice point. All right. Okay. So we have the feminines and making the choice to truly ground in her magic and her internal masculine energies. With this Eight of Swords, this is telling me that there's something that the feminines are not seeing, but they are trusting that higher power that they've been tuning into to lead them through the uncertain times. So, what I'm sensing is that the feminines are equally experiencing some uncertainty. But what I'm sensing is actually that the feminines have a higher knowing and trust that their path is aligning. But then there's still this like physical world gap of uncertainty of like, how is this actually going to come together? How is it actually going to play out? And just like the masculines, I'm going to say, just keep aligning with your highest timeline. What's coming through a little bit different in the feminine side is actually that our feminine side, even if you're a masculine, is starting to really integrate the internal masculine and feminine and learning how to bring those higher energies down into their physical world so that they can manifest what it is that they're wanting to create. So where the masculines are still, or like in this process of embodying, the feminines are a bit ahead on this part, okay, of feeling a bit more embodied. But then I'm also sensing like the masculines, there's something that wants to come through with this because I feel like there's a mirror, like there's something the masculines have stabilized that they want to share. Okay. The masculines are actually, they're showing me they're actually more integrated in their masculine and feminine than we've realized. So now they're working on that higher self energy. But this, I think, is the part that the feminines haven't realized, that the masculines have freed this part of themselves. So, feminines, what's coming through is to allow yourself to unravel those old thoughts about where you thought your masculine was. Because what I'm seeing is some of those old thoughts are actually keeping you imprisoned from seeing your next steps. It's interesting because I'm sensing like the feminines have been moving forward and still working on it, but there is like this gap. Hold on, I'm gonna pull more on that. What is this? What is it for the feminines to help them equally get to where they're wanting to go? Which is like the feminines are or the masculines are opening up to the higher power, and the feminines are like opening up to that material world stability in a way that they haven't before. And I feel like the feminines have made that active choice to ground and balance. Well, that makes total sense with all the business and entrepreneur and divine feminine, you're ready messages that have been coming through on the channel. But I still feel like there's kind of an equal cloudiness on the feminine side. Like they've made their choice, but now it's like what support messages can come through for that next piece. Oh, two came. Okay. So with this part that you're not seeing, the Tower and the Ten of Wands came. Let me feel into this energetically because this feels like a breaking open versus a falling apart. And what's coming through is actually feminines. The feminines are choosing to move forward regardless of what they're sensing. The feminines may have been feeling blind or uncertain, but they have made their choice has been to move forward into the new, regardless of what it looks like in the physical world, regardless of what's happening. And there may have been some unnerving energies. I've seen some of the comments from some of you having a little bit of fear, like if I move forward, will we forget about each other? But overall, there's this deeper surrender and trust to knowing that the divine feminines have made the choice to begin building. And I want to come through with saying this is very exceedingly important because feminines that are guided or internal feminines that are guided to continue to build the foundation and what they're being shown is actually leading to that highest timeline. And no, you might not know exactly where it's leading you, but you already know that you've aligned with your highest timeline. Or if you haven't, I'm going to call on you to start doing that like the masculines are showing. Okay. So remember, these messages are internal, masculine, and feminine. You are working simultaneously on both of these, right? Opening up to the higher power and allowing it to ground into the earth. Okay. This is like receiving the downloads and grounding them in and letting it come to physical fruition. So, this to me is speaking about how the collectives are both somewhat blindly moving forward to their highest path, but the clouds are clearing and they're gaining more clarity. And just continue to allow yourself to align with your internal energies, your higher energies, and your connection to the earth. If any of you want to work deeper on this and you haven't signed up for the group on 222, Restoring the Sacred Masculine and Feminine Essences, you may want to check that out and join us for that. But it feels obviously like things are syncing up, although I can definitely sense there is some cloudiness that's still being dissolved. But even when we make these choices at a higher level. The choice is like made at the higher level, and now it's like letting it play out in the physical world, letting the clouds clear up, letting the energies come in and expand more deeply, letting ourselves let go of what's no longer needed, and realizing that many of us have come a lot further than we've realized. And now we're just dropping into the results so that we can start to experience more of the results of the work that we've been doing in the energies. All right, loves, I love you. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. And I am aware that it's Valentine's Day, so I'm very curious to see what's going to come through for us with those energies. All right, loves, have a beautiful rest of your day. Peace.